All right, so I want to welcome everyone to our webinar, Making Sense of Online Marketing for Personal Care Services. Thank you so much for joining us today. As I'm sure so many of you already know, online marketing is really an opportunity for you to get the word out about your salon, spa, or barbershop. We know that people are looking for businesses like yours all the time. Stats show that 69% of people search for a local business at least once a month. And I know myself and others who search for it, probably at least once a day, if not a couple of times a week. And we also know that salons with a good online presence simply get more bookings. 46% of salon appointments are actually scheduled online, while salons and spas are closed. All of that really means that there's a real potential for you to do more business when you can get found online. Now, if you're just getting started with online marketing, you may have become overwhelmed with too many tools, never-ending expert advice, and honestly, there are a lot of myths that I've seen out there that are often presented as fact. If you're already doing online marketing, you may have become frustrated to find that it's not as easy as many claim it to be, and there's just a lot going on. Today's webinar is not a deep dive into any of the channels we're going to be talking about. However, it's designed to help you to understand the fundamentals and a little bit about your strategy and the tools that you'll want to include in your strategy for ultimate success. We really want to help you to navigate the world of online marketing and be successful. With all of that in mind, let's go ahead and see more specifically what we're going to cover in today's webinar. We're going to start by talking about how people find you online and help you to understand what shows up in search results, which plays a role a little bit later on when you start to set up your own tools. Then that takes us into the tools themselves, where we'll talk about 5 foundational tools that you'll want to have set up. And last but not least, we're going to talk about how it all comes together. And we're going to give you some action items to keep in mind and take away from the webinar today. Now, before we get into all of the details, allow me to introduce myself and our guest speaker for today. My name is Stephanie French, and I'm the content manager for webinars here at Constant Contact. And I'm very happy to introduce John Hallberg. He's a beauty business expert and the owner of the salonbusiness.com. During his career, he's held multiple marketing director positions for large professional brands. That includes Wella, GHD, OPI, and he's helped thousands of professional care business owners really grow their business. Now, today he teaches how to really build your brand, market your business, and grow sales through his online education programs at the salonbusiness.com. And John, I'm really excited to have you here because I know you have so many years in the industry and a lot of expertise to share with us.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the introduction, Stephanie. So really excited to be here, and I know we have a lot of great stuff coming up in the presentation as well, so can't wait to get started. All
right, well, let's go ahead and dive in. Let's start to talk about how people will find your business online. Now, in order to understand how online marketing tools can really work for you, it's important to understand some of the different ways that people can find you online. We know that many salon and spa owners will tell us most of their new clients are actually coming from word of mouth. And a lot of that is really amplified online in today's world, especially social media like we see here in these examples. Being online and paying attention really allows you to monitor those conversations and actually be a part of them. After someone learns about your business through maybe one of these methods, or maybe their friend has told them about you, in a lot of cases, they're more likely to go out there and do a search for you online. They want to see what others are saying, and they want to get more details about your business and the services that you offer. So in this case, because they heard about you from a friend, they're likely to search for you by your business name. So it helps to kind of demystify what we're actually seeing in search results to help you a little bit later on with the tools. Could you walk us through what we're seeing in a search result if someone goes out and searches for your business by the business name?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. And I just want to stress that point as well, that being visible on search is the most important marketing strategy for a salon, because in the end, like, the people who find you here are people who are either looking for you directly, or they're looking for the type of services that you offer, right? So showing up here is crucial, because those are the people who are most likely to become your clients as well. So just to kind of walk through a little bit what we see on the screen here as well, what you would typically see when you search for a specific business. So what you see on the right side, that's the Google My Business profile of the business. So in that profile you'll find things like pictures from the salon, where they're located, reviews from people who have been there, and so on. Really some good information about your business. Then the other things you would see are like websites. So if a salon have done a good job with their website so that it shows up in search, you will see that. You would see listing websites or review websites, places like Yelp, for example, in this example. And on top of that, you might see some social media profiles as well. And that's all the kind of organic visibility, right? But at the top, you also see that you have ads. So if a salon in that area, have optimized ads for that search, you would see paid ads as well at the top. So that's like typically what a search result would look like, which I'm sure, as a searcher, you would recognize.
Definitely. And I got to tell you, Google My Business is in marketing one of my favorite things to talk about because it's so valuable to businesses of all kinds. Now, there's also going to be people out there who don't know about your business by name, so they'll run a search typically by the type of service they're looking for. And if you simply want to make sure that your salon or spa shows up for these people as well. So this one actually looks a little bit different. Can you tell us what we're seeing here?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would argue that like these searches are potentially even more important than like the business searches, because like the people who are searching for your services and not your name, these are people who do not know about you yet. So if you show up here, that means that new people will be discovering you, and potential new clients will be finding you online. So in terms of like what you get on the search result, there's for sure similarities. So you could have paid ads, for example, if someone is optimizing ads for balayage in that area in this case. But what you also have is the Google local pack, which is basically pulling information from your Google My Business profile as well. But instead of just seeing like one profile, you'll see all the salons within that specific area where the user is searching, and showing all the salons that would be matching that specific search. And then other things you would find here as well is for sure websites from salons who have content on their website that would include balayage and are based in the area. You would also find like listing websites or review websites where these services are mentioned. And I would say like, both when it comes to searching for services like, what we're looking at here, and also when you search for a specific business, like all these elements that we're talking about, like the good news here is that you can really, like if you put a little bit of work in, you can be the one showing up here and you can create that visibility, right? So it's not like, it is something that would be impossible for you to show up in, right? If you just do the right things, you can really have a good presence there.
Definitely. And a lot of what you're going to walk us through later will help you with getting into these search results. So thank you so much for walking us through that. Now, I think an important thing to keep in mind here is that people are eventually going to click through from those various search results. They might go to your website or your social media or any of those review sites to find out more about you. Number one, you've got to make sure you can be found, but also you want to make sure that the information they're finding there about you is accurate. They're going to have some questions that they want to know about, like, do you offer the service they want? Is your staff experienced? Are your reviews good? Do I feel like I can trust you to cut or color my hair? Now, anything they're going to find online means that they are going to start to form some opinions about you. But the thing is, if you appear present, engaging, and provide helpful information and resources along the way, you're actually going to be increasing the chances of people choosing your business and booking an appointment with you. And I think that is a nice segue that leads us into the second section, where we'll talk about some of those tools that will help you to show up in the search results and other tools that will help you to set yourself up for success for the entire journey. So I thought we could run a poll here. So let me launch the poll on your screen. All right, so we would love to know what marketing activities you're already doing for your salon, spa, or barbershop. And this is a choose all that apply. So go ahead and spend a couple of minutes and give us your answers. That'd be really helpful. So we'd like to know if you have a website set up that you're using, if you're letting clients book online, if you're using social media to engage your audience, if you're using listings and review sites, or if you're creating helpful content that ultimately brings people to your websites. You should be seeing the poll on your screen. We'd love everybody to take a minute there and provide us with your answers. All right. So we have a smaller group today. So I'm seeing 100% of people say they have a website. Also, they're using social media and creating helpful content to bring people into their website. Give everyone just another couple of minutes to see if we can get a few more people to participate. All right, there the numbers go. So about 33% of the audience so far today, John, is letting their clients book online, and 33% are using listings and review sites. 100% are saying they create helpful content. I'd really like to kind of evaluate this a little bit later in terms of the overall audience, but also a big chunk is saying they have a website, which I think is pretty good. I think by today's audience, you probably want to make sure that you have a website set up for people to find you online, which is one of those things you talked about in those search results.
Yeah.
So I'm going to close the poll and just share this so that everyone can see the final results. Anything in there kind of surprise you a bit?
So I think it's really good to see that 75% have a website in place as well, which is good. And also like using social media. I think probably what would surprise me a little bit is that allowing clients to book online is only at 50%. Because I think that's a kind of a habit that is happening, not only within the salon industry but also in other industries, right? That people want kind of the convenience of being able to book at the time that fits them. And a lot of salons would be getting appointments coming in at like 1 a.m. in the morning, or at crazy times when people realize like I need to get my hair done, I need to get my appointment booked. So having that available brings a lot of value and simplification for the salon. So I would have liked to see that higher than 50%, but I think otherwise on the other elements, I think it looks like we have a marketing and savvy audience on the call today.
Yeah, definitely. And the things we're going to go into are pretty foundational. However, what I would suggest, if you're someone who has a website, John is going to be helping us to talk through some things to make sure it's set up for ultimate success. And we'll talk about some of those other tools to help you tie in there as well. So in today's conversation, we're actually going to be talking about those 5 tools that really help you to have that good foundation. We want to make sure you have a mobile responsive website, an email marketing tool, at least one primary social media channel that you're actively using and getting results on, up-to-date business listings and reviews, which is where that Google My Business profile especially comes into play, and then an easy way to create content. So a website is really the center of all of your online marketing activities. At least that's how we feel here. Now, it's the hub that you want to start to point people to in order to get new clients to book with you. Plus, it's a place that you own versus just saying that you're on social media, which is something I hear quite often. Oh, I don't need a website. I am on social media. And your website really needs to function well, no matter where your audience is viewing it from. Whether it be a desktop computer or even a mobile device, you'll see how it adjusts accordingly to the screen size. So John, I was hoping you could walk us through some important tips or even pages to make sure the website is set up for success.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have a lot to say on this topic and teach this over at the Salon Business as well. So I'll try to keep it condensed. I think what's important to have in mind is that the role of your website is really like 2 things. Like the first thing is that it should act as kind of your digital receptionist, that is working 24/7 for you, every day of the year, and never complains about salary and so on, and always have the best face forward to welcome people into your business. So it should really have that job of like grabbing those people and getting them booked, like your receptionist does, but online. So that's one thing. And then the other element is that your website should also help you get visibility. It should also help like more people discover you, like what we saw in the search result. Like you see salon websites when it's done right. You'll find salons when searching for services and so on. you'll find the website if the work is done right on the website. So those would be kind of the two main the reasons why you need to have a website. There's other things as well. I think as we compared, and Rachel was mentioning Stephanie was mentioning social media and should you have a website. I think something that is important to bear in mind as well is your website is actually something that you own and you control. When you're using social media, the algorithms can change, and what you can post there could change and so on. It's a bit outside your control, but your website is yours, and you control your brand experience, you control everything on there as well, which is another point why your website is important. But let's get a bit more practical, and let's walk through a little bit on what makes a good website, and in particular what pages you should have on there. So obviously you need to have a home page, and your home page is arguably the most important page, because that's the first impression, right? That's the first thing people see when they land on your website. So the job of your home page is really to make sure that people who land on your website understand immediately that they are in the right place. That's what you saw in the example website that was shown earlier. This was a hair salon in this case, and you could see a hair model, and you could see the message saying hair salon in London. It was saying some other things as well, but making it you cannot miss when you land here, right? That I'm at the hair salon that is based in London. Yes, I'm in the right place. If that's your potential client. I think too many times we overcomplicate that first landing section, because we want to bring our brand to life. We want to do a lot of things, but make sure you have that to the point, because you don't have that much time with the user today. When they're browsing the web, they're finding you on a listing, they go to your website. You only have a short second to maybe to help convince them that they are really in the right place. So that's the job of the homepage, is to make sure they are in the right place, and then start guiding them through to booking with you, which naturally leads you to the appointment booking page, which is another important page that you should have on your website. Or maybe you're working with an appointment scheduler that has a separate page that you're linking out to. But in the end, that's what's important. It's important to have a good appointment scheduler that is not confusing in the booking experience, because you don't want people to drop out when they're so close to booking with you, right? So making sure that you have a good scheduler, and also that you're linking to this from multiple pages on your website. It should be one of the first things that you have when you land on your website is how do I book an appointment, right? You don't want to leave the visitor confused about what should I do next, right? It should be easy to book an appointment with you. And then you have your services page. And the services page, having information about what you offer, is of course important when you have clients on there. They want to find out are you right for them, and do you have what they want, what they are looking for. But it's not only about that, because services, having a services section on your website is really what will help you become discoverable by search engines, because it's about the content that you're putting out there, information about your services, that will help you show up in those search results when people are looking for your services. So the goal of your services page is not only information, it's actually food for the search engine algorithms, so that they can index your website and understand that you are offering what the searcher is coming and looking for. Then you have your about page, which the main objective here is to build credibility, right? Maybe it's the first time someone is going to book with you. They want to understand who's working there, what are they doing, do they have testimonials, certifications, or do they have more information about you, in order to build that trust with that client before they come through the door and book with you for the first time. And then lastly, the contact page. So contact information is crucial. That's the piece of information that most people coming to your website will be looking for. So you should for sure have a dedicated page for that, but also have this part of your footer on the website, and have it easily accessible, because again, most of the people landing on your website will be going there because they want to find out how to get in touch with you. So that's an important page to have. And also your contact page, and having your address details and where you are based. Again, this is also information that the search engines picks up, so that they know when someone in your area or close by your salon is searching, that you are the best one to show, because they also use that information in order to judge if you should show in the search result or not. So yeah, that would be some of the principles and the core pages that I would certainly recommend.
Awesome. And the thing I want to point out with those of you who said you're not booking online is that Constant Contact does now have a booking tool. We'll have Rachel share a link on that, but it'll walk you through the steps to set that up. This is a tool that you can use if you have a Constant Contact website, another tool that we have. But you can also create it as a standalone page for your bookings, and you can connect that to any other website program that you're using. And that link will walk you through that for all of the steps that you need to complete there. It's pretty simple, and I'm really excited that we have that now. Now let's go ahead and move on to the next tool, which is actually email marketing. Email, I love it because it's how you can reach people directly in your inbox, and you don't have to fight the algorithms that John was talking about here just a few minutes ago with social media. Now, can you talk to us a little bit about the email marketing strategy and what types of emails our audience should be sending?
Yeah, absolutely. So like one thing that I love about email marketing is the fact that a lot of it can be automated. So like you don't necessarily need to like manually, send out every email, right? But you can write email once that are then going out to the right customer, personalized for that customer at the right point in time. And this can save you, a lot of time, and you can have that kind of interaction happening with your customers in the background, and you can focus your attention elsewhere. So I think that's a key strength of using email marketing, among many other reasons, of course, as well. And so like some examples of how you could automate is really to tie it to different events that the customer and client is going through. So for example, when they book with you for the first time, right, you would want to make sure that you send out a welcome email to them, and that's something that you can set up once, that gives them a brief introduction to you, and also introduces maybe other channels where you are visible, if it's on social media, other places, to give them more places where they can engage with you and hear from you on a more regular basis. And then there's of course more like events like that, like after you just booked, to get a booking confirmation, ahead of your appointment, that you get a reminder. Having those reminders being sent out is really powerful for reducing no-shows, right? Because then people are not accidentally missing their appointment, right? But they get information ahead. And so like those are like simple ways that you can like use the automation element of email marketing to your advantage, and have that like support your business in the background while you're focusing on other things. But on top of that automation, right, a good idea is also to have a newsletter. And if you have capacity to at least try to do it like once a month, to send something out to your clients, also to like make sure that your salon is the one that stays top of mind with them, and also that they are aware if you have a new member of staff joining, and which is opening up opportunities for them to book, or if you have new services and so on, like to keep them up to date on what's going on and having your salon top of mind. Having that newsletter can be very helpful for that. And I think an important principle here is just to make sure that like what you're sending out, that you make that valuable, right? So it's not about just sending promotional things all the time, because if you do that, after a while people don't want to open your emails, right? So you need to make sure you have the right mix of being like valuable and providing valuable, helpful content with your emails, combined with like promotions and sales messages that you want to drive. But having the right balance there, I think, is important.
I can't stress that enough. And I've seen that in many industries, including this one. It's not just about you getting that booking, but not everybody's going to book every single day. So you've got to have those helpful resources, if you can send on a consistent basis, like you were saying, that help you to stay top of mind, keep them up to date on services that you have, or maybe new ones that you're adding to your profile, but also like how to take care of your hair, your nails, or anything like that. That's just going to keep them engaged along the way. I love that. Now, let's talk a little bit more about the email list, because what is email marketing without the people that you're going to communicate with? Once you have someone's email address, you're able to reach out on that consistent basis, like you're saying. So what advice do you have for our audience to get started emailing people?
Yeah, so, I would really focus on like your existing customers first. So I have this discussion frequently with salon owners who are eager on like starting to collect email leads and like collect email addresses so we can get new clients through the door. But I would always focus on your existing customers first and making sure that you have a process in place for actually sending out those emails and this is working for you before you invest a lot of energy in collecting those leads. So that would kind of be the second phase, because this is a great way to kind of capture the attention of people and start building that relationship via email in order for them to eventually become a client as well. So if you want to collect those email leads as well, so not about your existing customers, but potential new people, I think what's important to have in mind here is that in order to get someone's email address today, you need to give them some type of value in return. So like for example on the screen here, you get access to some special offer, or maybe there's some other type of value that you're providing in exchange for their email address. Like that's something that you would need to have today in order to collect email addresses. Like most people don't like come to a website and feel like I need more emails in my inbox, so I'm just going to put my email. No one does that. Everybody has too many emails, right? So you need to make sure you're providing some value in return for that email so that you can start building that relationship with that person.
Agreed. Yeah, especially in the title of the form that you create, which we do have list growth tools. Put that offer right there, or whatever the value is to them. Let them know right up front so it's easy for them. And don't just say join our mailing list. That's not going to get you a good amount of leads. So let's move on to talk about social media, because social media is another great way for people to find you in those search results like we saw in one of the previous examples, but it's also how you can really interact and engage with people. How would you suggest our audience make sure they're using the right social channels for their business?
Yeah, so this can be like tricky to navigate, right? There's a lot of platform out there. There's Clubhouse, there's other platforms like gaining interest, right, beyond like what you're seeing on the screen, and there's a lot of changes happening here. So what I think is important when you consider like where should I spend my attention and where should I like invest my energy, because it's tough to be everywhere, and you can, but you probably need some more support to enable that, right? But to like be able to focus on like one channel and do that really well, or maybe two, but like focus on a few. So when choosing like, okay, what's the right place for you to be with your business, what I would come back to first is really like, what's your goal of being there? Like what's your objective? So is that, for example, your objective could be to get more new clients, right? Or it could be to kind of build your brand and get more recognition of your brand, maybe in your area, but also like nationally. Maybe that's what you want to do, or like even globally for that matter. Or do you just want to have a place where you can share content for your existing clients and customers, right? And maybe that's your objective, right? So I think it's important to be clear on like, what is it that I want to do here before you start jumping in on the different channels. And I'll come back to that a little bit then to kind of show you like what I think are the right channels for you. So that would be kind of the first, like be clear on what's the objective. And then think about like which channel fits my business and yourself as well, like which one fits. And what I mean with that is like, if you're providing like visual transformations, you're a hair salon or a nail salon, and you're creating things that are like visually interesting, then it makes a lot of sense to be on a visual platform, right? Like Instagram versus Twitter, for example. Or if you're not doing that, then maybe another channel could work better. So that would be the second point as well when choosing where to be. And to keep this like fairly short, because I think like for most of you listening to this, I would expect that like getting new clients is an important objective. So what you need to think about there, if we like double click on that a bit, is really like then you want to have a channel that allows you to reach out like in your local area and reach people who are actually likely to become clients, right? And some channels are doing this better than others. And probably the most popular choice and what most salons would go with, if we're talking about a hair salon or a nail salon or a beauty salon, would most likely be Instagram out of these, right? And potentially also Facebook, for like good reasons. So these are visual platforms, right? You can share pictures of your work and what you're creating in the salon. And they're also offering some level of ability to kind of reach out locally, depending on like what tactics and strategies you're using. But you can, have your clients mentioning you so that other, their friends see that, and you kind of like, you can use different tactics to reach people in your area. Like if you compare that with channels like YouTube, for example, or Pinterest, these channels are much more global today. So it's really about like finding good pictures, and it doesn't really matter so much which country and like region and so on that is coming from. So it's harder to kind of capture those local people there, because you're more competing on kind of a global scale, I would say. So I hope that makes sense. So like, think about your business objective. Think about what kind of content can you create, and is a visual platform good, or is another platform better? And then if it's about getting clients, which would be the most typical objective, really think about like, how can I reach out locally and reach like the friends of my clients and those who are likely to become clients. And I think that should kind of point you in the direction for what will be a good channel to focus on.
Definitely. I think you provided some really great information, and I think a good takeaway and something I see often is people try to do too much when they don't have enough resources. If you can maybe pick one or even two at the most to really focus your efforts on and start to learn what works for your audience and one versus another. And then you can, if you want to expand later on, you can take any knowledge that you've learned into any of those other channels. Now, something else with social media I see people struggle with is, what on earth do I post, or I'm posting and I'm not really getting results. And typically we say, especially for this industry, you want to focus on driving awareness with your posts, driving action, and client interaction. Could you give us a few more specific examples on what that means and how we can get results with those kinds of posts?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think when it comes to like, building awareness, you want, so like when you're on Instagram, for example, like if we talk about Instagram that we have on the screen here, like you're very much in the hands of the algorithms, right? And it's the platform that chooses if they should feature you to more people and not. And really the way today to succeed here is to make sure that what you're posting is valuable, and like that you're putting out content that people want to engage with, that makes people want to be on those platforms, because the platforms like that and the algorithms like that. So they will start like showing your content to more people, and you will get more awareness. Okay. Now, like that's easy to say, right? Like, be valuable, but to get a little bit more specific there's like certain things you can do as a salon to be valuable for your audience. And like, so one would be to somehow share like inspiration. Another one would be to share education, and the third one would be like entertainment. So like if you can inspire, educate, or entertain, these are things that people like, that makes them want to kind of look at your post and stay on your post, and the algorithm sees that, and that helps like give you a boost. So like just to get a little bit more specific, so like inspiration, for example, that could be things like before and after pictures, or like looks, nail art, or whatever like you're creating in the salon that is like inspiring, that is great content that people want to see. Educational content could be like how to do things at home, like sharing more of that expertise that you have, because you do, like if you run a salon, you and your staff, if you have staff, they sit on knowledge that like a lot of people out there desire. It's easy to forget that when we're in the salon environment like every day, but like what you know about beauty, what you know about hair, what you know about skin, nails, whatever your vertical is, people want that. Like that's really interesting, that's good content. So like educate around that. And then also like in terms of entertainment, that's more about, I would say, bringing a bit of yourself into the content and being personal, and like adding a bit of humor in what you do so that it becomes interesting. And if you can kind of combine those of like being inspirational, educating, and entertaining with when you share things, if you can combine those at the same time, you're creating really valuable content that people will really enjoy. And I'm sure you have a lot of interactions with your clients like on a daily basis, and you probably hear the typical questions that they would be asking you. Like you probably have a good idea of like what are the things that people want to see, because that's typically what they're already asking you. So like if you're a little bit smart there as well, you can like start building a repository of these typical questions that you're getting, because that's a great source to go to for like inspiration on like what should I be creating and what should I be saying, because you're getting those questions already, and that's a good indicator of like good content that you could be sharing. So yeah, I think that's more for like focus on the awareness component, and driving client interaction, driving actions. It's all about like the message, right, that you're putting out there, and like really using your chat function as well as a support and like your customer service channel. Like, you know, people, your clients and potential clients, they increasingly want to engage with you that way as well, over like calling you, right? So like making use of those channels is great, and it's also a way to show the algorithm that people care about you, engage with you, and then the algorithms will promote you more, I would say. So yeah,
I really like your point about providing value, and you really broke it down to, I think, make it easy for, you know, the education and inspiration and all of that. So all right, well, let's talk about the next tool, which is listings and reviews. And as we saw earlier in those search results, I think this is, you know, something that's really valuable. People want social proof that you do provide great service and customer service and all of that. And that's just another way that you can get found in those search results. So what would you suggest are some of the listings and review sites? We've already talked about Google that our audience should set up a profile on.
yeah, absolutely. So Google is absolutely the main one. So out of everything else I say from here on, I would just say like overinvest in Google, because that's the main search engine. That's where most people go, and having good visibility there is crucial. So, you know, Google is the main one. But on top of that, you have places like Facebook, like Yelp. And I will also look to kind of salon specific sites in your local country. So this is typically different from country to country, like who they are, where they are listing salons, and you probably have an idea already on who that would be in your local market. But like getting a listing, getting some visibility there as well is great. Then there's other places beyond like Google. So you have like Bing, which is another search engine from Microsoft. You know, go there, get registered. You have Apple Maps, which is you know, the map function on your iPhone, which a lot of people are using to find local businesses as well. So like get a profile there. So there's more places you can do this. I think less like the message is, you know, focus on Google, overinvest a bit with that so that you have a good presence. And then for the others, it's like a small exercise to more like get registered, get some information about you up there so that you're visible. And that's a great starting point to help you kind of get more visibility in those search engines.
Great. Well, what are some tips for using listings and review sites? And I know, especially because social proof is, you know, really big, I think, especially for this audience today. What do you suggest to get those reviews and even maintain them over time?
Yeah, so like there's tools that can help you here. As you hear from what I've shared before, I like automation, and I like having things that kind of just serves you and works in the background, because I know when you run a salon business, you have so much to do. So like you can use like email automation that we talked about before, to also have like after the appointment, there's automatically an email being sent out to the person asking them to give feedback. If they give positive feedback, you can also ask them to leave a review, right? So you control that, so you get more positive reviews. Like, but from experience, I would still say like the most effective way of getting reviews is actually like the old school traditional way of just asking your client, right? So if you see your client is happy with the result of the appointment, like if you just kindly ask them, like, would be great if you wanted to leave a review on my Google My Business profile, and just send them the link. That's probably still the most effective way of like getting reviews. So like if you're not doing this already today, I would really try to make that a habit and find a way to kind of continue to ask for those reviews, because that's going to help your business a lot. Not only because, you know, it builds your credibility when people go to your profile and want to hear what other people are saying, but like also these reviews, that's also a signal for those algorithms, the search engine algorithms online, that your business is a good business, the business that people care about, so they will start showing you higher in the search results as well. So that would be reviews. Like another element that you can do as well. So some of these, in particular Google My Business, have also like a posting feature. So you can, like similar to what you do on social media, you can be posting on Google, typically sharing more information that is around like your business and what's happening right now, so that, you know, to help people if they can book or not, like information about COVID, like, you know, like, or if you have a specific offer running. These are things that you can post on your Google My Business profile. And I would generally say that most businesses are not doing a good enough job here. So with very little effort compared to like social media and so on, you can get very good visibility if you just give, your Google My Business profile a little bit extra love, because a lot of people forget about this. So that can really help you if you spend a little bit extra time there.
I would have to agree. I think that's definitely can give all of you an edge here today. Now, the last foundational tool we want to talk about today is content, and you've kind of actually talked about it throughout some of these other tools we've mentioned, but content is really what people search for, they consume it, and it allows them to share it online with friends and family, especially with social media. That ultimately helps you to drive traffic from search. I like to say this starts with content on a blog, and that's what makes it searchable. And of course, tying back to other channels, you know, sometimes people struggle with, what do I post on social media? Or I know I should probably send an email to keep it consistent, but what do I write about? This is something that can help in all of those other channels. So what would you suggest our audience start to build content for on a blog? What should they write about?
Yeah, so there's a few principles here that are important. So when you choose what you should write about, you should focus on things that are closely connected to what you offer. So you should really write about your services and write about, you know, variations of that service and how you did it on short hair versus long hair, and like, you know, write information about the services that you offer and to include that on your blog. Because that means that the people who do find you because you have that content out there are very likely to become clients, because they are most likely in your area and looking for exactly what you are offering. So make sure it's closely tied to what you're offering. And then the second point would be, like, when you put things out on your blog, you know, you shouldn't make that content about yourself, but you should really make it about the searcher and make sure it's helpful for that person who is looking for the content. So, you know, because quite often, you know, when I work with salons and we start looking at the blog and what's being posted right now, it's typically like information coming from us or from the salon. Things like, oh, this person started, or now we had, you know, this event in the salon, or we, you know, we're talking about, you know, ourselves and what's happening in the salon, which is good, right? You should do that, because that's cool information to provide your existing customers, but it won't help you get new clients in, because no one is searching for the event that you had in your salon, for example. Like, what they will be searching for is, like the example before, like balayage in your area, right? So you just need to make sure, like, not to write about the stuff that you know want to say, but to write things that are helpful for that person, like doing that search on the other side. So that's like a slight mindset shift, that when you do that, then you know, that will help you rank better in search engines and have more people finding you.
Yeah, and you brought up in social media when people are asking questions and you're engaging there, and to kind of keep that to the side, that's also something you can use here, I think, because if someone is asked, I really feel that if someone is asking you a question on social media, picking up the phone and call you, or asking a stylist even, then there's probably someone out there in the world who's searching for that question in particular, something very similar related to that. And if you've written a blog post on that, you're more likely to show up in those search results. So really great information there. Now, this next one is actually a bonus, and it is paid ads. I think this is so great once you've got those 5 tools set up in order to amplify your efforts. You can run paid ads through Google and even Facebook and Instagram, and you can reach a variety of goals. Whether you just want to drive people to your website, get more appointment bookings, or we've also got what are called lead ads through Facebook, which help you to grow your email list. John, could you provide us with any advice here for someone to get started with their first ad, or something to think about there?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, because ads are great for like scaling what you do. Like, you know, because when we talk about search, for example, obviously that's limited again to how many people are looking for your services in your area at the moment. For example, like there's a certain like limitation there. Like, ads gives you that opportunity to really reach as many people as you want, as many people as you're ready to pay for, right? So you can really like reach a lot of people in your area and really like scale your efforts. Like, what I would say though is that I'm a big advocate for like starting with like the fundamentals that we've been going through now, and some of that like organic work, like the organic search result work, and also like getting some of these fundamental pieces in place like before you start investing in ads. And the reason for that is like, you know, one is like when people see your ad, when they find you because like you're using advertising to reach them, they will still want to like research you and go and like search for you to find out more information and so on. So like if you don't have some of these fundamentals in place, that's going to make your ROI, so your return on investment that you're putting behind your ads, is going to be lower than if you have some of that prepared already to capture those people after they see you, and when they engage, you have a good website where they understand your brand. You know, you have that credibility built that will help you so much and make your ads more effective as well. You know, so that would be one. And then the other part is also like, obviously paid ads, as it's you know, as it says, you know, you're paying for it. So you know, it costs money when you're not really sure yet, like what's my message, what's my creative, like basically the, you know, the video or the copy and the message that I want to put out there, and what's the offer that really will get people to book and so on. Because you most likely need to have that as well with paid ads. If you go on Facebook, you need to have some type of offer in place, because you're in the end, you know, it's not them coming to you anymore, it's you showing up in front of them and you asking them to engage with you. In order for them to do that, you need to like really give them something to do that. So, you know, before you figured out those things and what is really working for you, you will be spending some money on that journey. But if you have a little bit of organic visibility, you're getting people through your Google My Business profile, from your search visibility and stuff that we talked before, you know, you can test out a lot of these things on beforehand, and you're starting to see, you know, what resonates with people and what is working, and then you can kind of use that and like put more like, you know, media budget or you know paid ads behind to kind of get better scale on that and reach even more people. So it's just cheaper to learn with free traffic than it is with paid. So yeah, that would be like some perspective on that as well. But again, like, you know, great tools are available there as well when you're ready to scale and you want to reach more people.
Yeah, I completely agree. You know, you don't want to skip those foundational elements, because that's like your testing environment, learning into what works and whatnot. So totally agree there. Now, I want to put those 5 foundational elements just back on the screen in case y'all need a refresher. But I know, John, that this can feel like a lot for salon owners to take on. But what advice do you have for our audience today with this, on maybe a next step or getting started with these things?
Yeah, so I think, like, you know, what we've covered today is quite a lot of different areas, right? And indeed, it takes a bit. You know, I don't want to sit here and say, and like this all is super easy, right? It takes a little bit, and you need to learn each of those things. And if you're new to it, it's going to take a little bit of trial and error and so on to get going. So it makes a lot of sense to kind of be focused in the beginning and try to, like, you know, focus on one area, make sure you're doing that well and you're kind of mastering that, and then you start to build and you move on and make your marketing and your, you know, your efforts bigger and bigger. So in order to maybe help a little bit in that prioritization, what I would focus on most likely first are the things that like gives you visibility. So you know, that helps people discover you and helps people find you, because, you know, it doesn't really matter how great your website is if no one is yet finding that website and seeing that website, right? So you need to get that visibility going and start to get some traction with people, you know, first. So I think it makes sense to start like working on getting that visibility. And then how I would prioritize is also like, because certain activities that we've talked about are more like do once activities, and other are more like ongoing things, right? For example, like do once activities would be like your business listing or creating your website. You know, most likely that's something that you do it once. You know, like building a website, you know, you need to invest a little bit of time to kind of get that up, but then you have it up and it will serve you for a long time. Similar with like getting your business listed on these places that we talked about. Takes an hour to get you properly set up on Google My Business. But then you have done that, right? And that will serve you for years going forward, right? So if you're starting to focus on these like do once activities and getting those in place, because they have like a compound effect, right? Like the more you do, you just like every, you know, every piece of work you're putting in, every action you're taking is just like building, is an investment back in your business. So like start focusing on those before you go into these like more ongoing things, like, you know, posting on social media and like doing things that can keep you very busy. But like, you know, certain things you can just do kind of once and get it in place, and then you will have time to focus on these other things later, right? When you have some of these fundamentals in place. So that would be kind of my general advice and kind of like how to navigate all this, because I do, you know, respect and realize that, and I know this, you have a lot on your plate. There's more in your life and in your business than marketing, right? So we need to be smart here and for that, you know, you're using your time, you know, effectively.
Awesome. So really great information to think about. So let's go ahead and start to recap how this all kind of comes together in the end with some action items to leave with today real quickly. So first and foremost, you know, we would say, you know, create a mobile responsive website and create it as a resource for potential clients. What kind of questions are they going to have about you? You know, book an appointment, you know, what kind of services do you have? When can they get a hold of you and where can they get a hold of you? And I apologize, my dog is barking. We almost made it. And then for your email list, you can start sending your emails to your existing customers. Like John said, I think I would completely agree with you. That's a great place to start. Now, you might also consider capturing email addresses on your website visitors as well. And do not just make it about joining the email list. It's about what value are you going to be providing there in order to entice them to give you their email address. You can also use email marketing and like John said, in a lot of cases, automate it. You can also send promotional emails to drive more business to you, but also that valuable content that you send on a regular basis. It helps you to show your expertise, but also to help you to stay top of mind with your subscribers and build relationships that keep them in for the long haul. And then don't forget about social media. This is where you can interact and really engage with people, drive awareness, engagement, and action. And I forget what your 3 things were, but there was inspiration, education, and what was the third one, John?
Entertainment as well, I think. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Did you say it? Yeah.
Awesome. And then don't forget about listings and review sites. That's something that for the most part you can set up once. You can start to collect those reviews and help to beat some of those algorithms by having those profiles out there. But if you're getting more reviews, it just kind of shows that your profile is fresh. And something I don't think we really got to touch on a whole lot, but I think engaging with reviews out there can really help you to build trust. I know it's another thing that maybe you don't have time for, but I would suggest that at least if you pay attention for the negative comments especially, you know, don't be afraid of getting them. You know, sometimes there's people out there who are just going to leave them no matter what. But if you can try to provide assistance to those people and show other people who find that review that's negative that you do in fact care and you're trying to correct the situation, I think that can go a long way as well. And last but not least is creating helpful content, like John was saying, for your audience, ultimately helping you to get found in those search results. And again, building relationships and connecting back to those other channels we talked about today. You could write about questions your target audience has, the services you offer, and things like that. And then last but not least is you can really start to amplify your efforts. And just like John said, I can't stress enough, don't skip those first 5 elements and skip directly to running paid ads. That's really the foundation for driving people from an ad to, let's say, book an appointment or to a resource you have that kind of piques their interest and entices them to want to make an appointment with you. John, was there anything else that maybe you wanted to leave the audience with today before we get to Q&A?
Yeah, no, so I think, I mean, we've covered a lot, and there's a lot of things you can do. I think what's important to remember, like when you run a salon business, there's a big demand for your services out there, and there's a lot of people who are looking for what it is that you offer. So I just want to kind of stress that point, like don't forget that. So, you know, because it's much easier to reach those people and get visible in front of those people than what it is to go out and chase people and try to promote people and start to convince them that, you know, they need what you have when there's already a demand and there's already people looking for it. So, you know, that's one main point that I would want to leave with here is, you know, tap into that potential and, you know, that is already out there.
Awesome. You provided us with so much great information today. Now, while everyone is typing in any final questions, I do want to let you all know that we are here to help. Be sure to check out our guide that Rachel, who's helping out behind the scenes, will share with you. It's called Making Sense of Online Marketing for Personal Care Services. and it dives into the topics we touched on today, but in more detail. So John especially talked about those 5 pages that you want to have on your website. In that guide, it outlines specific questions you want to make sure you're answering for each of those pages, which is probably one of my favorite parts to make sure I'm creating a website most effectively. So again, you'll find that in the chat window. Now, I know, John, you also have an offer, so I'll let you jump in and tell our audience a little bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do run like free training sessions and live sessions like what you've been on today, also over at the salon business. And what I'm focusing on right now, and there's the next one coming up in a couple of weeks, is really focused on like, you know, going more into like how do you practically get going with you know, getting that visibility and getting people to, you know, to find the clients and to get clients online, like really using the most effective methods there. So there I double click on that and go a little bit deeper and give you a bit more tools on that. So that's coming up soon. So if you found that interesting what we went through, I strongly recommend you know, take part in that free session that is coming up as well.
Awesome, thank you. And John, you have so much knowledge you've shared with us today, and I'm sure you have tons more. So I would definitely recommend that you attend and register for that free training. Now, excuse me, I have a frog in my throat. Now, just a note, when we end the webinar today, a survey is going to pop up on your screen, and we'd really love if you tell us, just answer 2 simple questions and tell us what you thought about the webinar today. So let's go ahead and get to the questions we have here. Again, if you haven't sent any questions, you can do so through the questions box. It's a little question mark icon, usually on the right-hand side of your GoToWebinar dashboard. So this first one comes from Linda, and I think this one may be for a constant contact question, but I'll let you hop in if you have a good answer for it too. She says, I noticed when I send out an email, on the top of the email, it has a yellow box with content saying, be careful with this message. Does it look safe or report spam? Does anyone see this when I send out my emails? And how do I correct this? How would my clients not see this? From the constant contact side, I would suggest actually contacting our compliance team, because they can help you to troubleshoot if it's something that's happening on a regular basis with every email you send, because it shouldn't be. It could also be something that's in the content of your email that's kind of triggering Gmail or whatever program, I'm assuming it's Gmail, and telling it that something might look suspicious in there. Sometimes it's just an algorithm that's trying to pick this stuff up, so it might not be very accurate. I will have Jake or Rachel, who's helping behind the scenes, and see if they can get you the number to contact that team, and they can help you troubleshoot that anymore. John, did you maybe have anything to add there?
Just one thing to that, because what's typically the issue when this happens is that the email you're receiving is coming from your own email address. So, because, you know, I see this all the time, right? So when you're testing things out, it might be that the email is coming from your own address, and then your inbox will be flagging because it looks like someone is trying to impersonate you. So that's most likely what's going on here. And if that's the case, then, you know, your clients will not have this problem. It's more about you. So just check that. If it is the fact that it's coming from your own name to your own name, then usually the mailbox doesn't like that, and they give those type of warnings. It could just be that, but yeah.
Awesome. Let's see if any other questions have come in here today. Just make sure I'm not missing any. And actually it doesn't, but we'll hang out for just another couple of seconds, see if anybody puts any more questions in there. We're more than happy to help you. But John, I just want to thank you so much for being here today and sharing all of your great expertise for this industry. It's been really exciting to know all of this great information that you have and be able to share it with our audience.
No, it's a privilege being here, and I know you guys are doing a great job over at the Constant Contact as well. And with these guides that you talked about earlier, like really practical and helpful guides that are available to really like help businesses get going. So I really love the stuff that's coming from here. So just a privilege to be part of it.
Awesome. Yeah, we're very happy to have you. Looks like we had a question come in from Aster. I'm a new customer and I just started today. I need to learn from the beginning, step by step. So this is great for your strategy. This webinar is really great for that. What I would like to send you, you can also attend John's free trainings as well. but I'm going to grab you a link because if you're learning from Constant Contact, we have product demo webinars that will walk you through lots of different things like creating an email from start to finish and getting it sent out. So let me get that for you. And I'll post that for everyone in case you are interested, and I'll also share that out in the follow-up email. We are recording the webinar today, so just a heads up, you will be receiving the email with the recording as well as any resources that maybe you didn't get a chance to download there. And John, I'll also include your URL in that same follow-up email as well.
Awesome.
All right, well, it looks like we're at the top of the hour, so I want to be respectful of John, your time, and also our audience's time. Thank you so much again for being here, and also thank you everyone in the audience for being here and participating with us today. I hope you all have a great day and much success with your business. Bye now.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, John.